Hello and welcome to the Romance and Mystery Track here at Continual. And tonight we're talking about toes in the sand and what kind of reading we like to do on vacation. And I happen to have some wonderful authors here with us to talk about what they like to read on vacation and maybe why some of what they've written might be what you'd like to. But first, let's start with some introductions. Starting with Gail Maxwell, please.
I always do this. I never know what to say when you introduce me. I write a little bit of everything. I do write a lot of romance, but sometimes a little paranormal romance. So I do have some beach romance. So that's kind of fun because that's kind of my favorite vacation, to go to the beach. So that is actually a pretty big inspiration for me on some of my reads and some of my books.
Okay, and Liv.
Hi, I'm Liv, and I write paranormal or historic romance, or both. Sometimes I combine the two.
And Tawdra?
I am Tawdra Kandle. I write romance, and under that umbrella, I write contemporary, paranormal, and erotic. And I love the beach. It's my happy place. So, you know.
And Kevin Coles?
Hi, I'm Kay. I also write contemporary romance. I do dabble a little bit in the paranormal, and I'm actually working on a book right now that will dive more deeply into that subgenre, which is exciting because I've always wanted to do it. I'm not a huge beach person, but I do like to go and walk on the beach. I'm more of a shade person.
How about you, EJ?
I'm EJ Russell. I write on the lighter side of most things: paranormal rom-com, contemporary rom-com, supernatural suspense, though not too dark, and just once historical set in 1920s Hollywood. I probably haven't been out of my house for a long time, but we live about an hour away from the coast, and I grew up in Southern California, so I spent way too much time as a youth covered in baby oil on the beach, which is why I probably stay in my house now and don't go outside.
Liv, I got you, right? I'm dealing with a small off-screen emergency, so I just didn't want to miss anybody. So we're on to Kindle.
Hi, I am Kindle Alexander, and I write pretty exclusively. I write gay, male romance, contemporary. We have some writings that have been paranormal, but no one has ever seen those. So I have to say, I live my world in gay romance. And I love the beach too. I can't go in it like Kay Evan Cole said. I can't do that because I fry like bacon. But I do love the beach. I love the water.
I love everything about the beach, and I completely agree with you that I am the person huddled in the shade of the beach umbrella like a vampire, moving my chair as the shadow moves, trying not, I don't even fry up as pretty as bacon. Bacon gets, nice and crunchy and brown. I just turn hot pink like a boiled lobster. So I try very hard to stay in the shadow. I'm Gail Z Martin and Morgan Brice. As Gail, I write epic fantasy, urban fantasy, steampunk, near future post-apocalyptic. But as Morgan Brice, I write urban fantasy, male paranormal romance. And so I kind of cover the waterfront there for quite a few different subgenres. So what do you consider to be a beach, pool, vacation, lake, name your body of water, a hot tub, read, and why? And Liv?
I pretty much, if it has words in sequence, I will read it on a beach. So I'm probably not the person you needed to lead off with. I have read nonfiction. I have read, I don't know, I think the last time I thought about this, it was Elaine Pagel's The Gnostic Gospels was a beach read. So yeah, I'm going to pass on somebody else.
Tawdra?
I like any.
By the way, guys, there's no wrong answer.
No wrong answer. Phew. I love romance on the beach, with the one exception that I will read Stephen King on the beach as well, because, you know, why not? Uncle Stevie goes with everything and goes everywhere. He wrote right after we moved to Florida, he wrote one called Duma Key, and I read it on the beach, and it was set in Florida on the beach, and it was terrifying. I was like, I thought I was safe to read Uncle Stevie on the beach. No more. So, but honestly, I think a love story, and I like a lighter love story. Although I do enjoy Ellen Hildebrand, her beach, her Nantucket books are good. I don't think they're exactly light, but I like them. So
Okay,
that's me.
Evan?
Let's see. Basically anything that will catch my attention and really keep it, because there's so much going on when you're at the beach, right? There's people all over the place. Just being there is sort of overstimulating. So anything that will really draw me in and keep my attention is something I want to read. I do like to read romance at the beach, but it doesn't have to be beachy, like set on a beach romance. It could be the opposite. Say it's the middle of July. So I live in New England, and I fry when I go outside. Maybe I want to read something snowbound, because I can imagine myself being cooler.
That works. EJ?
Well, like, hey, it doesn't need to be set on a beach for me to read it on the beach. What I expect is to be entertained when I am on vacation. I want something light. I want the literary equivalent of Singing in the Rain. You know, something that is just absolute and total fun.
Okay, Kindle?
Well, I actually have a story about this. Last October, a year and a half ago, we went to the Shameless Con. Are y'all familiar with that one? That's in Orlando. And we were coming back, and we were driving because we had all this stuff, and we went through Pensacola, and we ended up staying several days there so we could rent the loungers and read on the beach. And we read Nicole Edwards' new paranormal book, and it was the best read. And I read with my writing partner all of the time, but we just sat outside and talked and read about talked about what we read about. And it was such a great thing. So I don't think paranormal, you guys know, y'all all said it. It's just so wonderful and engaging, but you also get to look out at the beachgoers, and you get to come up with new ideas for your books and stuff as you're sitting out there. There's just this whole world happening on the beach. And that's my story. So Nicole Edwards was my read.
Okay. BL?
The last book that I read on the beach was a Dean Koontz. I usually like to read that, kind of scary books on the beach, but I switched to a Kindle. So I was actually, the last few years, I was like super paranoid to ruin my Kindle. So it's gone from what I want to take to read, because, with a Kindle, you can get anything, to what I put my Kindle in to protect it while we're at the beach. So this has been this whole drawn out thing of testing different bags if it'll get wet. And then I finally invested in the waterproof Kindle, so I was really happy about that. So it's kind of changed more from choosing what I was going to read to making sure I had a device I could read on that wouldn't get ruined while we were there.
Yeah, my beach story is we've gone to Myrtle Beach for years as our kids were growing up, and when you pack for the beach, the clothing is usually skimpier and lighter, and you're not packing heavy stuff like for winter. And I'm helping carry stuff in from the parking lot. I'm going, what did people put in this duffel bag? Oh my God! We get up to the room, I find out that there are 35 paperback and hardcover books in that duffel bag, because everybody brought 7 books, one a day. And unlike the food bag, it did not get lighter on the way back down the step. But at least we raised a tribe of readers, which is a good thing. And I could sit in a chair and put my back in place after that. But
If you didn't dress for the winter, you've never been to the beach in Oregon in the summer.
I've been there.
I think for me, I've read a variety of stuff at the beach, but for me, it has to be low angst. I don't want anything political. I don't want anything that is going to twist me up in knots, because I go on vacation to get, unknotted and get away from all that. So I want to forget all of that stuff exists, and no angst unless it gets really solved up with a nice bow at the end. And I just don't want to be anxious on the beach, because that's the rest of my life. So I go there to escape, in big escape letters. So have any of you written something set at a beach or set in a vacation location? And if not, is it still a getaway? Anything is good here. Have you written something that kind of fits this profile? Beach, lake, mountain house, whatever. Tawdra, I'm starting with you this time.
Oh, well, that's awesome, because my beach series is actually one of my favorites. And the old cover is there behind me. The new one is coming out this month. And that's my Crystal Cove series. And it's set on a beach in Florida, which was a real stretch for me. It's like research. You have to do research. You have to go to the beach. I'm sorry, I can't be bothered. I have to go to the beach and do research. And it's just been a lot of fun to take a town that we were enjoying visiting as a beach set, and recreate it and put these characters in it. And that's the Crystal Cove series, the Posse, the Plan, and the Path, and the Problem. And there's a new one coming out this year. So.
Okay, and
That's that.
Okay. Okay.
Two of the, let me make sure I'm not on mute. Okay, two of the first books that I ever published, I wrote with a co-writer, Brigham Vaughn, and the two books are set mainly in the city, but there's a lot of stuff that happens at a beach house. So I do think that certainly our own experiences informed that writing. It all happened. So this is Wake and Calm, and the beach house is in Southampton, New York. But then last year, during the current unpleasantness, I did manage to write a book, which was hard. I mean, I'm not sure if other people had as much trouble as I did sort of making my brain write last year. But I did manage to write a book, and it's called Open Hearts, and there's a bachelor weekend that happens at a camp out in Maine. And I have never actually been to this camp. Like, I basically made it up based on some other things that I read. I really wanted to go camping by the end of the book, and I'm not a camper. So that was clearly a sign that I needed to get out of the house more anyway.
Okay. Kindle?
I had connection problems. What was the question?
Oh, it was, are any of your books set at the beach or in a vacation location? And if not, tell us about them anyhow.
I do have, we have a set of characters that has a little bungalow in Hawaii. And a lot of that book is based, a lot of that series, Nice Guys series, is based on the little bungalow in Hawaii. And I'm like you, where, boy, I really wanted to have that bungalow. By the time that whole series was done, I needed to own that bungalow in Hawaii, because even though my skin burns like bacon and I could only go out at night, I needed to have that place.
Well, vampires make do with those same conditions, and they always own rented houses. So I think, there's really not a problem there.
I feel like I have some vampire in me because my days and nights are also mixed up. So walking on the beach at night would be perfectly okay.
Liv?
So the closest thing I think I have to a beach read is Aqua Follies. It is gay romance set in 1955 Seattle, and about I don't know how, well, EJ probably has heard of Seafair before. I don't know if the rest of you are familiar with Seafair. It's Seattle's annual extravaganza, summertime, let's all go out to the water and race hydroplanes and stuff. Anyway, back in the 50s, they had an aqua theater and down on Green Lake, and they would have, in the evenings, they would have like the divers and the synchronized swimmers and a band, and they would have like Bob Hope is the MC kind of thing. And the Aqua Follies was a big deal. So the book itself isn't technically on a beach, but a lot of it happens on a lake, which is close, and it's in the summertime, and it's one of the heroes is the assistant coach for the water ballet team, and he falls in love with the trumpet player in the band. So
Okay.
that's as close as I come.
BL?
I have Salt and Lime, which is a guy named Sal goes on vacation to Cancun. He just gets a whim to go, you know, has the time and decides what the heck. He goes by himself, and he ends up on his whole vacation with this taxi driver. And we've been to Cancun several times, and we've hung out kind of where not with the taxi drivers, but near them where you hear them talking. And they always talk crap to each other and they tease each other. And that it's kind of how this guy, like his last name is Green, but they all call him Lime, the other taxi drivers. So they're just always giving each other crap. And a lot of this is, his experience with with driving a taxi and meeting this guy that's from the US. They're both American, but he's there. He came there for vacation and never left, which is sort of what happens to this other guy that comes there and doesn't leave. And it was kind of fun because every activity that they have done, we've done. So it was kind of fun to, go through, our adventures and say, oh yeah, this would work for, they should go to Isla Mujeres. They should go, go see the turtles. And, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun writing.
EJ?
I have one contemporary novella, Mystic Man, which is set at the Mystic Seaport in Connecticut. The book is basically my love story to my husband's home state. He was born in Connecticut, and I went to grad school there. And so a lot of the things that the two guys in Mystic Man do are things that we did when I was on my third year in graduate school when we first started living together. So, going to the private beach on the Sound, going to the Mystic Seaport. I never had dinner on a boat the way that the two characters do, but my husband's family had a boat that they kept on the Sound. The other book I have that is sand related is Duking It Out, which is a paranormal spec fic / thing. It's in the Royal Powers series. So it's superpowered royals. Two royal dukes get shipwrecked on a deserted island, and they have to overcome their initial antipathy and work together in order to get off the island. And in the process, they fall in love.
Awesome. Well, and two of my Morgan Brice series are set at different beaches. The Badlands series is set in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And we've got a psychic medium who connects with a skeptical homicide cop to chase down supernatural killers in Myrtle Beach. And I single-handedly increased their murder rate. Sorry about that. And then the Treasure Trail series, which is set in Cape May, New Jersey, which is a very different kind of beach, where a guy who used to hunt down art fraud now runs an antique and curio shop to get dangerous magical items out of the wrong hands. And he connects with a burned out Newark cop who has started running his aunt's rental real estate agency. And they deal with cursed hotels and mobster ghosts and all kinds of paranormal hijinks in Cape May. So if you want a beach read on the beach, those are pretty beachy. Now, a couple of people have mentioned how you do the research for these beach read vacation-ish books. Bill, you set up the perfect segue for that. And let's hear some more about how you go about this grueling research responsibility, or if you how you draw on some of the things you've done, some of the things you've wanted to do on vacation to help inform your characters. And Kindle, what about you?
The research.
Yep.
Well, can we talk about sex?
Good point. Yes.
Okay.
And that makes good research too.
It does. And that's one of the funnest things that's happened for us. And see, like in my head, I'm trying to not just dump it all out and say it all.
Yeah, because we do need to stay a sort of PG-13, but you can
Right.
do a lot.
Right. And our stories, we write pretty graphic sex. And that's one of the things in the messages I get, or the times that I talk to the gay men who read our books, they're always very clear that sex on a beach is not that much fun, that it's not near as lubricating as we make it out to be, that it's very gritty. And so as far as research is concerned, you know, we always have to consider things like that now. Do you guys have to do that?
Well, I will say just having had sand pretty much everywhere, I can kind of extrapolate that. There's that iconic.
I agree.
There's that iconic movie.
Personal experience says that sand is bad.
What's that famous movie where it's like it's from like the World War II era where the guy,
it's from here
to eternity.
Where they're rolling around.
Yeah.
It's
I think
In the
that's-
surf, which seems like they're drowning.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that put sex on the beach in everybody's head.
Yes.
And there are just places sand should
No.
never be. And I'm going to leave it at that.
I always make it a point to have the guys have to get rid of the sand because it is not it is not pleasant.
Exactly.
Can't deal with it.
Well, and it depends on whether you're playing it for steam or whether you're kind of playing it for funny, because, you know, somebody's got sand in sensitive places. Somebody's got a sunburn that, ouch, that hurts. You know, there can be all kinds of ways you can do this, whether you're going serious or funny. Anybody else want to chime in on the sex thing? And then we'll come back to the other types of research.
I remember reading Patricia Nell Warren's The Front Runner years ago, and they actually have a scene in which the two men are on the beach and they're referring to an old movie. And I still remember the line, which is they're talking about, you know, the boys on the beach. And one of them says, "The boys on the beach are a mess. They get clamshells in their ass." I always have to be careful whenever I think of, you know, whenever they're on the beach and you know, have amorous intent, I always remember The Front Runner and have to be careful about clamshells.
Clamshells hurt enough when you step on them, let alone encountering them in other ways. Anybody else want to weigh in on sex on the beach other than the cocktail?
I would like to say that there's always opportunity for shower after the beach, right? So that's fun.
Outdoor showers too. Those are fun.
Right? Showers are great.
Showers are fantastic.
Now
Outdoor showers. See, you can like voyeurism. There you go. It's all good.
All kinds of things. What about that research to get some vacation details right or to draw from your own experience? Yeah.
So it was kind of funny because the place, you know, I used the hotel that we've stayed at a few times, which made it a lot easier because I'm pretty familiar with it. But we used to go to a club that was across the street from it. Well, it was destroyed in Katrina. So I was like, you know, oh my God. And, you know, Cancun is we used to go every year, and every year it's different because things get destroyed or they go out of business. So, you know, it's different every time you go there. So that was a little challenging, just finding, you know, places that still existed because we haven't been there for over 10 years. So, but I knew there was a really fun place we used to go to. We'd make sure we go every time to Perico's in downtown Cancun. And it's just really fun. You know, it's not a tourist area. It's more of a locals area that tourists go to. And so I had them go, you know, it was like, oh, the taxi driver knows, you know, to go to this place, which we tend to do that a lot. We'd ask the taxi drivers, well, where would you go to eat? Or where would you, you know, go in this area? So I tried to make him have our experience where we didn't just hire a tour guide and take a bus everywhere, you know. So it really is, you know, because Cancun is one of my favorite places. So it really is for me sort of a homage to Cancun and all the great times we've had there and all the great experiences.
Okay, EJ?
Well, I mentioned that Mystic Man is set at Mystic Seaport, where we've actually been, though we haven't been there for nearly 40 years. So I was very lucky in that the Mystic Seaport website has massive amounts of information on it, including videos, so that I was able to refresh my memory and see, you know, maps of the village. And I had to make sure that, like, there's one restaurant that the guys go to that my husband and I went to, and I wanted to make sure that it was still there because it was so iconic. And yay, it was still there. It also made a great joke because it's called The Place. So if you know, the guy who wasn't familiar with Connecticut heard the other one saying, well, I'm taking him to the place in Guilford. And he's going, well, what place? Why does he want to say what place it is? And they got there, it's like, oh, it's called The Place. And then
I want to go to the place right now.
For duking it out, the thing that I because it's a paranormal, sort of a spec fit kind of thing, I wanted the place where they went to be possible, but not necessarily something that somebody could find. And luckily there are tons of unoccupied, very small islands in the Mediterranean. But I spent most of my research time trying to find the right boat. So I looked up boats because I wanted to get the floor plan of the boat and how big it would be and what kinds of things they might have, because it had to be wrecked, but not totally wrecked, because it also needs to be something that could be repaired, and also small enough that one of the characters could have made it himself. So it was mostly, you know, boats. And the one that I ended up using was one that was in a James Bond movie. So there was a nice little clip of James and his, you know, his latest lady friend sailing down the canal in Venice on this boat. So I got it to see it in action.
Hey, Gail, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Did we include everybody already?
Nope, we're still going around.
Okay, I'm
so
sorry.
Hold that question until we get through everybody, but I do want to hear it.
Maybe.
Yeah, we went to Myrtle Beach for years when the kids were growing up, and I'm dying to go back. We weren't able to go for all of the reasons last year. And so that really provided a lot of the background for the Badlands series, because I've been on the boardwalk and I know where the shops are. And while Simon's shop isn't real, it is just a few doors down from the Gay Dolphin Gift Cove, which has been there for 75 years. And it's this iconic, amazing 4-story gift shop that if you can't find something there, you're not trying. And so it was a lot of fun to weave the real places in with the fantasy places and pull landmarks in some cases and mash some things together. But I love using real places when I can in a way that isn't going to cause any problems for them or me. And taking people kind of with me on a tour to say, hey, this is really cool. If you ever go there, this place actually exists and you really want to see it. With the Cape May series, our oldest daughter got married in Cape May. They live in New Jersey. Oh, wow. And she took us up there to help scout venues. And then of course we were up there for the wedding itself. And I'm walking around going, I got to set a book here. I got to set a series here, because I absolutely fell in love with the place. It's all Victorian houses by the seashore. And it's got this history. It's a completely different feel from Myrtle Beach. So there are all kinds of, again, real and imaginary places there, but the hotel and restaurant that are on the cover of Treasure Trail are one of the places where she held a wedding brunch. So I've eaten there a bunch of times and it's really good.
I
Liv,
love it.
how about you?
Well, I had something of a head start at research when it comes to beach. And I have actually written one story set in Honolulu because I graduated from the University of Hawaii in the 80s. So I lived in Honolulu for 6 years. So got very, a lot of like life experience with the sort of intersection between tourist and local, and how the cultures overlap somewhat, but are very different at the same time. So as I said, I have one short story that I set there, and that is kind of my love story to that time and place. And beyond that, when it comes to research, it's really all about the Google. I mean, my writing partner, Irene Preston, and I recently released our contribution to the Royal Powers series that EJ kicked off. And it was looking at Mediterranean islands and looking at flora and fauna and what happens in places like that. So yeah, real life and Google.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, I would echo the same. Google is probably one of the best tools that a writer could ever have at their disposal. Really, I mean, I haven't been to some of the places that I've written. Like, let's say you write stories in outer space. None of us is going to go there. So how are we going to figure out what to write? Obviously, you can make things up, yes. But I do, so I live in New England. I think I said that. I live in the Boston area. So I do set a lot of my books in Boston because I am still, after all this time, in love with the city. So I do have opportunities to go in and do research actually like in person, not right now, but in general, I have that opportunity. But otherwise I do use Google. I also talk to people in my Facebook reader group who might have information about places and experiences. I wrote a book where a character had a food allergy. And I just put a question out in the group and said, I'm interested in talking to anybody who's comfortable talking about food allergies. Can I send you a questionnaire? And I got a ton of responses and they were so helpful, so very helpful, which was great. People are, I find, I'm not a huge person on Facebook in terms of using it, but when I ask questions of readers, they have so much to give and tell. And I really like that because I would never know half of these things that they're telling me, which is why I'm asking them in the first place.
Tawdra.
Well, I'm looking down at Liv as a fellow warrior. I also went to University of Hawaii at Manoa, but right, yay! just late 80s. I was there. I did a paranormal novella. I grew up in South Jersey, off and on. I was an Army brat, but that was our family. So we grew up going to Ocean City and Cape May, and we had family who had a house in Cape May. And we have a lot of really good memories there. So I did set a paranormal novella there called Stardust on the Sea. And it was, I kind of took a bunch of the old hotels, the old Victorian hotels, and globbed them together and made them one, which was fun. But it is an homage to that very special part of my memory. But it's really been nice to set this one in Florida because it's only about 45 minutes from here. So, when I started writing the Crystal Cove books, they were just kind of redoing the main downtown in this town that I based Crystal Cove on, and they had started building a bed and breakfast. And so I wrote the bed and breakfast the way I wanted it to be, and the construction of it was part of a larger story. And Crystal Cove crosses over with my other small town series set in Georgia, and there were the two guys who had gotten married and were trying to figure out how they were going to make life work. And it just so happened that they needed somebody to live in and run the brand new bed and breakfast because somebody had moved out. So when I got to go for the first time to stay there, I was a little disappointed because it wasn't exactly the way I said. I was like, oh, no, it would be so much better if you did blah, blah, blah. And interestingly, my daughter ended up working there for about a year. afterwards. We got to know the owners pretty well, and she worked there for a little bit. And I was always like, you should tell them that they should do this because it would be so much better. But, so that's been fun. It's fun, and I like taking a real place and fictionalizing a little bit. There's another hotel in my town, and there is in this town too, but I moved it and I set it more at the other end of the town. So, you know, I had a lot of readers say, well, why don't you just call it the town that it is? But then I get in trouble for having something that's not accurate. I say, nope, this is just the based on, but it's fun to move it around. But it's also fun. I've taken readers down and said, okay, this is what this is based on. This is what that's based on. So anyway, yeah, research is fun. I love it.
Research is a blast. How about you, Kindle? What about research for you?
Hey, I wanted to ask this question of everyone because I'm at this stage in my writing life where I like writing about vacation spots, like on the beach and what you do at the beach and the slower pace that's there. So you can really delve into what is there. You have you have all your little restaurants that have all the little dancing with all the little sandals and all the little shorts and the swim, it's less about using electronics and phones and the fast pace of the city. It slows down. Do y'all agree with that or not? I like that. I like the holding the hands on the beach, and that kind of stuff that you don't get
More
so
back
much.
to basics.
Yeah, very much
Not
back
so
to
techie.
basics. Yeah. Y'all, you like that?
Yeah, I like that for vacation, especially. Like
Right.
I have one book that's a road trip, and they don't really, the only technology they use is like their navigation. They stay in places that it's not like they're, on their computer the whole time or, this kind of thing.
The
So I
cell phone in the
totally
hand
get it.
all of the
Yeah,
time.
exactly. Because it's like the landscape is almost a character,
Right.
which kind of at the beach, it's sort of the same thing. That's a character. Like for me, Cancun is very much a character in that story.
Mhm.
So yeah, I totally get
And the
that.
quirky individuals that are there,
Oh,
the
yeah.
restaurant owners and the
Oh yeah,
convenience store owners, they're just a little bit different in that kind of
That's-
world.
for me it was the taxi drivers because they're so
Yeah,
entertaining.
yeah.
When you go there, they are so entertaining.
Mhm.
And they honk at each other. Once you start noticing, they have all these little things they do that you don't notice because you're only there for 7 days, but they do this stuff all the time. This is like, they honk their horn and it's like Morse code.
Right.
Almost. They're
Right.
communicating.
And they're really that way. They're really those
yeah.
kind of people.
Yeah, I love that.
Okay, thank you for letting me ask my question.
So are there places that you would love to write about that you haven't yet? And do you think you will? And I'm going to start with Kay.
Oh God, I just started thinking. There are definitely places. There are definitely places I would like to write about and haven't been. Will I write about them? I hope so. I mean, I have a day job, so I don't have a ton of time for writing or as much as I would like. But I do hope that I get to write about some of the places that I would either like to visit or have visited, including things like space, where I would probably never go. But I would love to write something. Just think about like a beach on another planet. How cool would that be with like 3 suns? And then we'd all be burning. Like we'd be made of butter. We would be burning. But that would be so much
Those
fun.
places in the real world, you want to tell us where you'd like to go?
I would love to go back actually I haven't been to Europe in a very long time. I went to Spain and to a couple of cities in Italy, and I would really like to go back to both of those countries and others. Fine, Prague would be wonderful, and stay for a long time, like a couple of months. That would be great. Or my dream beach would be someplace in Fiji. I don't even know if I will probably never get there, but I would like to go and never come back.
Fiji would be awesome.
Right? So beautiful.
Yeah, it's awesome.
EJ?
Oh, sorry, didn't hear you.
Okay.
I've gotten to the point in my life, and the current unpleasantness has sort of drilled this into me. I don't like to travel, and I think that the reason is that I'm a product person. I'm not a process person. So the act of having to go someplace, the logistics. When my kids were smaller and we still, and lived at home and we went places, I was always the one who had to deal with that stuff. I had to plan it all. And I started to really hate it because I wanted to not have to deal with it sometimes when I'm on vacation. And it was always my job. So now it's like, I don't have to do that. Most of my books are set either in places that I have been or that I know well, like most of them are set in Oregon, or else in places that absolutely do not exist. I have a series that's set in something called the interstices, which is the post-creation gaps between worlds, where all different mythologies as well as technology can mix together. So I can make up anything that I want. And that's what I like. Traveling to some place that is in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I love that.
BL?
Oh, I'm sorry. I live in the Sacramento area, and so most of my books take place here just because I feel like there's just a lot here to use. I do a lot of paranormal. There's a lot of paranormal stuff around here. I would love, though, I actually went to Australia 2 years ago now, so I'd love to go back to Australia. There's just so much to see there, and it's just so different, than it is here. And I'd really want to go back there, but I want to go to Iceland. I just find Iceland fascinating. So that would be my dream trip, I guess, would be to go to Iceland.
Okay, Tawdra?
I've written about a lot of different places that I've been, but I have a series that's coming up that's set in a place that I've been but not investigated a lot. So I have some research investigative travel planned, and that's in actually in South Carolina near Charleston. I've been there, but I just feel like I haven't been there enough to capture it. So I'm going to be forced to take one for the team and go back. Yeah, that's right.
We admire your sacrifice.
Thank you. Thank you.
Very much.
Kindle, how about you?
Well, I'm blessed that I live on oceanfront property in the Dallas area. Okay, y'all are supposed to laugh at that. We've had.
I'm thinking. I'm like.
I was like, I mean,
I even gave a pause for y'all to laugh. I am the opposite of EJ, and the most crippling part of this last year is that I finally have gotten to a stage in my life where I can freely travel, but then, we couldn't travel. We've been all stuck at home. And so next year I have quite a bit going on, but where I've never been? I've never been to Washington State, and I've never been to Forks, and I've never seen sparkly vampires. And I feel like that's something that I need to do. I'm going to
go there too. I have that's one of my goals too, to get to Forks.
I want to go to Iceland. We should do that trip all together at one time. You and I should just go do it.
I'd be up for that. I love the idea of going to Forks. I think I've been through there because we've driven all over Oregon and Washington. I'm pretty sure we've been through Forks, but it was before Twilight, and we had, it was a small town. We were probably like, moving on.
I want to say the Charleston Tawdra. I love your name. We came back from there a couple of years ago, and we stayed in a house that was super haunted. And it was the coolest thing. I mean, to this day, it makes the hair stand up on my arms. I had somebody say boo in my ear, and I turned all around and nobody was there. It's the greatest thing. I want to go there back with you.
I was going to say, I'll get the name of that from you.
Not in August. I don't want to go in August, but not in August. Not in August.
No, there we go.
How about you, Liv? Yep.
Oh, I thought you said Jim. I'm like, who's Jim? All right. So I will say that the Forks Visitor Center does have life-size posters Of the
cutouts.
sparkly vendors, so you can have your picture taken with what, I don't even know their names, but anyway, yes.
Edward.
Or they did, gosh, 5 or 6 years ago was the last time we were there. And the question is, where would I like to write that I have been or not been? So I would love to write a book set in Victorian London. The problem I have with it, it seems like, I mean, there are so many books set in Victorian London, like people really like to read about Victorian London and that, but I've never been to London and I'm afraid I would get things wrong. And so there's so much sort of lore built up around that city and that time and that place. I'm afraid that somebody who, you know, people who had really strong ideas about what it was supposed to be like, I wouldn't hit the marks. So I'm still pondering that. I have an idea that I think would be viable if I could get over myself and write it. But that'll be for the future. And maybe we'll go and visit and then I'll feel more confident.
If you want to go to London, I'll go with you tomorrow if you're free.
He is ready to go. You guys notice
I'm
he's
ready.
taking out her bags?
I do have a bag
We also need like a
packed.
group Forks trip.
Yeah.
We need
Yes.
a trip out to
You
Forks.
can stay at the,
Anyone who
at
wants
the
to
Swan
go.
House. They rent out the Swan House now.
That would be cool.
Yeah,
should
I
go.
got
Let's all
my
go
I would
together.
love that.
passport updated because I was going to go to the UK meet, which is right up like an hour out of London. That was for last fall.
Oh,
I mean, September of 2020 when we didn't go anywhere. But so my passport is ready. If you want to go tomorrow, we can go.
Mine is ready too. And you think I'm kidding, but I am not kidding. I will go.
Doorstep, yeah.
Let's go.
I've been to New Orleans a number of times, but my husband has not. And we were going to do that for an anniversary trip last fall, but of course, and I had the perfect tour set up, all these places I wanted to show him, my favorite places to take him, and of course 3 or 4 cemeteries, as one does. And you know, so that's got to get put off. I think one of the places that I would love to see and then somehow weave into a story is I've always wanted to go do that Rhine River cruise in Germany where you see all the castles. And that's definitely on my bucket list when they let us come back again. And so I know I'll find some way to weave it into a story someday. Well, folks, we are at the end of our time. It has gone so fast. So let's do a lightning round where we go around quickly. And if you have a new book, a recent book, an upcoming book, let us know and tell us where people can find you online. Liv?
Okay, so my most recent pub is called The Frogman and the Spy, and it is a sort of James Bond-esque thing set in the Royal Power series. And my next release will probably be either the sequel to Soulmates, which is MMM, paranormal contemporary, or a secret project called The Vampire's Pirate, set in 1805 New Orleans. That's a short that'll be coming soon.
Okay, EJ?
My most recent book was Purgatory Playhouse, which was my offering in the Magic Emporium series. Before that, it was King's X, which was my last Royal Powers book. I am currently working on a cozy-ish mystery that is a spinoff from my popular Myth Matched paranormal series. And I'm hoping to have that out in the next couple of months. The first one is called 5 Dead Herrings. And
That's brilliant.
That's amazing.
the second one will be The Hound of the Burgervilles. So you get a general notion of how serious these books are.
And don't forget to tell us where to find you online.
Okay, my website is ejrussell.com. My Facebook group is Reality Optional. And those are the 2 places that I'm most likely to be found because Twitter scares the heck out of me.
Okay, Liv, did we need to back up and have you tell us where to find you?
Website's livrancourt.com. Facebook group is After Hours with Liv and Irene, and Twitter is @LivRancourt, and I'm somewhere.
Okay.
My most recent book was Hooked on You, which is actually a winter themed book where people were snowbound and there was some, best friends to lovers kind of action, which I really liked. It was a real joy to write, actually. So after last year's unpleasantness, writing something that brought me real joy was just a wonderful experience. I loved it so much. And I keep thinking about those characters, so I think they'll come back. The current work in progress is a paranormal vampire kind of thing happening. It's very long already, and I'm not sure when it will be finished, but I'm hoping to get it done this month. You can find me on kevincoles.com, and my Facebook group is K's Whiskey Words Cafe. And
Awesome.
I'm places.
Kindle?
First, I want to say Kay Evan Cole's background is so appealing. All the book colors all go together. And she has a really good voice. I don't know that I want to follow her.
This is a Zoom background, by the way. This is not real. This is a Zoom background.
It's very, very good.
I'm glad. Yay.
Okay, I have a book that released this year called Breakaway, and it does have a beach theme to it. One of the main characters is a venture capitalist that funds eco-friendly businesses, and how he got started was cleaning the beaches in Hawaii. So there's kind of a little, whatever I'm trying to say. And then we do have another story coming soon. It's Julian's story from Reservation, and he might not ever have a title for that book. That book might be titleless because we can't pinpoint exactly the best name for it. And that should be coming out in the fall. I can be found at KindleAlexander.com, and we spelled that like the Amazon Kindle, Kindle. But that was my daughter's name. And then I'm on all social media under Kindle Alexander, everything, even the Twitter that scares me too. They're scary out there. All of it is scary these days. My goodness. So yeah, I'm there. But sign up for my newsletter and read a book. And I have a deal that if you'll send me an email, I'll send you a free Amazon ebook code to give it a try. It's a no thank you bye. Okay, I'm done.
Yeah.
My most recent release was Stone Hearts, and it's the third and final in my the Stone series. It's gargoyles that have been brought to life and they're guardians. And this one, it's two gargoyles that they don't have fated mates, so they end up, at first they're kind of hanging out, and then they realize that this could probably work. My whip that I'm almost finished with, my next release is Tutu, and it's part of the Malicious Gods series. I'm really excited about this. It's kind of different. The whole series are more darker themed books, and there's some are paranormal and some are contemporary. So mine is paranormal, and Tutu is a demon. He was like a protector of the crypts. And so I'm kind of going with a demon hunter theme with him. So it's been really different because I haven't done that type of paranormal. So it's been a lot of fun. I'm excited for it. And you can find me at blmaxwellwriter.com. And I'm on pretty much all social media. I have my Facebook group is BL Maxwell MM, and I'm on TikTok now. So that's kind of the new, everybody's moving to TikTok. So it's fun.
How about you, Tawdra?
I can be found at tawdrakandle.com, or you can just, if you Google Tawdra, it's all, I'm the only one right now that I have found, unless one of my kids named somebody after me, which I'm asking them to do, but so far no good. My last release was the second trilogy in the Diagnosis Love series, and that was both medical romance and sports romance. And in June, which is June, in a couple of weeks, I am recovering all of the Crystal Cove books. So there's the new cover, which is out. Yeah, they're beautiful. They're just beautiful covers, which, thank God I have artists in my life. And this year I am doing a daunting project. In my other small town series, I'm releasing a holiday novella or short. Well, it's like 20,000 words every month. So we've done January, February, March, April, May, June. July will be out July 6th, and it's called Make Me See Fireworks in a Small Town. And we're doing every month except for August because there are no viable holidays in August, and I'm taking August off. So anyway, so those books will be out in July, September, October, November, and December.
Okay.
Wow.
That's me.
And I'm pretty easy to find at gailzmartin.com and morganbrice.com. My reader groups are Worlds of Morgan Brice and Shadow Alliance for the Gail and Larry stuff and the Gail stuff. My most recent book is Haven, which was also in the Magical Emporium series. And that's a paranormal romance mystery set in the Adirondacks. And then also I'm one of the contributing authors to Fables Retold, which is classic fairy tales retold with an romance twist. And mine is a retelling of the Three Billy Goats Gruff with goat shifters. So
I love it.
I
and
love
it's
it.
Amazing.
kind of fun. Next coming up, I'm working on Blink, which is the next Treasure Trail book set in Cape May, and Legacy, which is the next book in my Deadly Curiosity series set in Charleston. So thank you all so much for being
Thank you.
wonderful guests and for this whole conversation. And thanks to all of you for watching and listening. There'll be more romance, more beach reads, and more fun here in Continual. So we'll see you online.
Thank you.